A franchise held hostage, day 153, since the Pohlad family announced its intention to sell the Twins. We'll be lucky to have a deal done by opening day next year at this rate. Don't fret, though, because that just leaves us more time to get locked on Twins.
You are Locked On Twins, your daily Minnesota Twins podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Well, hello again, everybody, and welcome back to Locked On Twins, your daily go-to source for the top Minnesota Twins insight, discourse, and analysis. Personally, it's my favorite show of the Imperial Locked On Podcast Network, which, by the way, brings you your team, looking at the wrong camera, there's no camera up there, every day. Every day. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe where applicable. I'm Dave Brown, an MLB writer ever since the Pohlads owned the Minnesota Twins. Oh, wait, they still do. I'm also a BBWAA member and a Hall of Fame voter. Would you like to be included into Cooperstown? I should have said inducted, not included. Anyway, let's talk about it. Maybe we can get you in there. Across the Great Plains of cyberspace is Brandon Warren. Brandon was a Twins fan who became a Twins writer, and now he's both as the site expert at Puckett's Pond, a blog about the Twins. Go read Puckett's Pond. On the podcast today, Lavelle Neal in the Star Tribune tells us what we kind of already know. The Twins are not only not sold yet, they're not really on the verge of being sold now that Justin Ishbia has turned his sights on the White Sox. And who wouldn't? You know, they're so beautiful. Zebby Matthews back on the mound in a competitive setting for the first time since he tweaked his hip, making a play on a bunt. How did he pitch? It was Zebby, man. He dominated. Also dominating, Andrew Morris, who talks to himself in the mound, like Mark Fedrich, apparently. He's going back to the minors for now, though. He's gonna talk to himself in St. Paul. I think we'll also look at how the other Twins did today in their crosstown clash with the other team in Fort Myers. Boo, the Red Sox, boo. But first, this episode is brought to you by me and Brandon. Brandon and me, us together. How you doing, Brandon?
Oh, pretty good. Hanging in there. It was pretty nice today. Got to go take my daughter to Sky Zone, so that was interesting. But otherwise, yeah, it was an early release day for my young lady, and so we got to spend some time together, which is very nice.
I'm at spring training, although I'm far away from spring training of the Twins. I'm in Arizona, so I don't really have. I mean, I watched the highlights and. I'm up to date on what's going. I'm not in Fort Myers, so I don't want to give that impression that I am. But since I'm usually in like Kansas City when we talk about the Twins, the show is going to be the typical quality. So don't you fret, people out there. Lavelle's column-ish story in the Star Tribune. The Twins had hoped to have a new owner identified by opening day, but the sale could stretch into August or September. So, like, if it stretches into August or September, there goes like a trade deadline acquisition. Although, like I said, you know, they've spent more than I thought they would, given the fact that the team is still in limbo. So, but yeah, if the Twins have the season I expect them to, and expect them to be contenders, this potentially would have an impact on that. I think that is in the short term. In the long term, they're going to be sold, and whoever gets it, we're going to cross our fingers that it's a better ownership situation. In the short term, it does put a crimp again on Falvey's plans to make great trades. Is that how you see it?
Yeah, I didn't think. Excuse me, I got a frog in my throat. Didn't really put any sort of new ideas into my head, but just reaffirming, like, yeah, it's not close, and then I don't know, 800 words saying the same thing, and I don't know. I mean, Twins don't expect to have this and that. I kind of feel like that was already pretty obvious after the Toshiba brother stepped back from his pursuit of the Twins. And so, I don't know. I mean, to me, it felt like there were some decent little factoids in there, but for the most part, it was, and no disrespect to Lavelle, kind of a nothing burger for me.
All right. Well, that would do it for.
Well, I don't know. I feel bad because it is, there are things, you know, that they have a search firm that's aiding them, and they still think that there's options coming from, you know, outside the state. and that sort of thing. But I just, again, I didn't feel like there was really much on the ground reporting from Fort Myers that I couldn't have missed there.
That is a good point. Lavelle brings that sort of ties into one of the things that I wanted to talk about. He said, it has been difficult to identify other suitors because they are required to sign a non-disclosure agreement before the parties proceed. That's from Lavelle's column. Now, I mean, I certainly am not on the verge of breaking any news here as far as who's going to buy the Twins. I'm not.
Right.
And I don't like to criticize. I think it's possible for one of the people who cover the Twins, whether it's a TV journalist or a newspaper-ish internet, I think it's possible to find out who's potentially buying the team in a way that would not violate anybody's non-disclosure agreement. I mean, Justin Ishbia was found out, and it's not like, I don't know if he signed an agreement or not, but it's not like he talked to the press. You know, he was pretty loud about his interest in the team, talking to former Twins players and so forth.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of one of the ways I think we found out that he was doing it, not because of any leak or maybe it was a leak, like a purposeful, maybe he was doing that with intent. But I think that, find the investigative reporter for, the State House, give him a week and see if they can figure out, could be a woman, who's buying the team. Is that too much to ask?
I don't know. I mean, I kind of keep coming back to the concept that the Twins don't let much leak in the way of scoops or news. And I don't know how high that extends. Like the Carlos Correa signing the first time was kind of out of nowhere. Well, definitely out of nowhere. The second time, still fairly out of nowhere. This is just a fairly tight-lipped group. And I don't know if that extends to ownership. But I also feel like, yeah, it'll be kind of sudden that everything comes together, and maybe we will be kept in the dark the whole time as far as progress being made until it's just like, hey, it's happened, and now within 3 months everything will switch hands or whatever. I think we're gonna see it be kind of cloak and dagger, or fly like by the night. By the light of the midnight moon, I guess. I don't know how to say it. It's going to happen overnight, and we're going to just be like, oh, Pohlads rode out of town. That's they're gone.
It's going to happen that quickly, I guess, and that stealthily. But so it does, like you said, it does kind of reinforce the feeling that everybody had that things are going slowly, and it's not with the initial person pulling out of wanting to buy the team. It's just going to kind of drag on. And I guess in a way it's positive, if you want to try and spin it some way positively. Obviously the players don't know anything about this. They're
Right.
not, they're busy trying to get ready for the season and Rocco and all that. And you're not going to, maybe once in a while you'll get somebody asking Falvey what's going on. But he's the guy he's going to be the point man on that. So
Even more so now.
That's okay. Yeah, even more so now, given his promotion. And that's, I don't necessarily worry about that for him, but I do think it does give the Twins players a reinforcement as well that, what, nobody's coming to our rescue probably in July again either. So this is up to us. And I think that's something Rocco can use to sort of not motivate, but just sort of put into perspective what is ahead this season. So maybe it isn't such a bad thing.
Not a lot of guarantees in baseball, but it's nice to know someone's got your back. And I think that's the thing too, that fans maybe don't realize. When a player gets trusted in a bigger spot than usual, it's nice to know that your manager trusted you to do that. Whether it's, maybe Cole Sands working the ninth inning of a save situation when everybody else is down. It's just those levels of confidence, however they are dished out, have to feel nice if you're a professional. Again, you're a professional for a reason, and you know what you're capable of. But anytime the person in charge of making those decisions shows faith in you, that sort of trust, you've got to appreciate that. And so I think there is some value to knowing ahead of time, this is the unit, this is the group we're going to battle with. Let's settle in, let's dive in and see what we're capable of.
And that's okay, because I think the Twins, they still, despite some of the injuries that they've had, they still have depth in a lot of important places. You know, I don't think, you know, it would take some more significant bad episodes happening, injuries or whatever, to start to worry about, well, they don't have enough pitching or they don't have enough this or that. They have plenty of everything. So at least to compete in this division right now. Mm-hmm. So that's a way that Rocco can spin it, and how they can perform. And the Twins are going to be, they're in a position anyway where they want to outperform what they did in 2024 anyway. So with that, we're going to take our first break.
Yeah, we'll talk about that pitching depth on the other side, I think.
Absolutely.
But before we do that, we got to give some love to our newish friends over with Wonderful Pistachios. If you're looking for a snack that's both delicious and nutritious, crack into a good source of protein with Wonderful Pistachios. They are one of the highest protein nuts available. Each 1 ounce serving has 6 grams of protein, giving you over 10% of your recommended daily value. Plus, they're packed with fiber and better for you unsaturated fats to help keep you feeling fuller longer. At our house, we eat the ones that are still in the shell. You have the option, though, if you want to be the lazy the lazy pistachio eater. No, I'm kidding. Some people just like to forego the shell altogether and get that pistachio goodness right into their mouth. And nothing wrong with that. We like the shelled version around here just because it slows everything down a little bit. And that way, if you're mindless snacking, you're still not going overboard. And it's good for you. Besides, it's delicious. It's nutritious, just like they said. So get snackin' and get crackin' with the snack that packs a protein punch. Visit wonderfulpistachios.com to learn more.
We're back with Locked On Twins, and the Twins are playing on, despite the fact that nobody wants to buy them. I don't think that's true that nobody does, but they're gonna take the ball, and they're not gonna go home. They're gonna play. And Zebby Matthews is back on the field. A few days ago, he slipped on some dirt. These dirt fields, I swear.
Yeah.
He slipped on some dirt and trying to make a play on a bunt, and felt something in his hip, and they took him out of the game. But he apparently is fine. He, again, was it 3 shutout innings today? It was
5 strikeouts.
And 5 strikeouts. I have a play-by-play here. You got Roman Anthony looking on 3 pitches, got Hamilton to fly out. And then Zebby versus Sebi in the matchup of the year, Sebi Zavala.
Yeah.
He walked on 6 pitches, so good job, Sebi. And then Jaron Duran flied out to left field. So that was his first inning. Matthews was sitting at 96-97 with his fastball, according to Bobby Nightingale, and turned in another scoreless Grapefruit League outing effort. Matthews this spring, 9 1/3, 4 hits, no runs, 1 walk, 12 strikeouts, and obviously no home runs without giving up a run there. And it was all today. It was against major leaguers. Bregman, ground out. Casas, a 4-pitch strikeout. Ref Snyder, a strikeout. Sheeta, K-looking. Romy Gonzalez, 4-3. And Eric Sogard, strikeout on 5 pitches. So that was Matthews today. I kind of feel about Zebby in a way that I do about
Festa?
No, not Festa. You know the guy who's trying to make the team, who's from New Hampshire, or he's traded for
Randy Dobnak.
No, not Randy Dobnak. The infielder who can catch.
Gasper.
Mickey Gasper. I sort of am just as excited. I'm so excited about Mickey Gasper that I could not remember his name.
Mickey, you're so fine. You're so fine. You blow my mind. Hey, Mickey.
The way Zebby is pitching,
yep.
I still don't think he's going to be on the opening day roster, right?
But he sure deserves it. I mean, this is a Bailey Ober a couple years ago situation, but if I thought I thought the hip was going to set him back, even just a couple days and push what was a low probability thing to a no probability thing. But actually, I wrote about it at Puckett's Pond that I think he's raised his stock in the organization considerably coming into the regular season. I have a few other guys too. Again, go check it out. But do I think they would use him in a role other than starting? No, and that's where it falls apart for me. But if you were to ask me, like, if someone said your best 13 pitchers go north and west with you, then I would say Zebby's one of those 13. Does that make sense?
Yeah. And it's not just simply 9 1/3 innings of spring training ball that we're talking about. This is a continuation of sorts of what he did in the minors last year. Just that role that he got on, zipping up, jumping up a couple levels in the minors. Now, he didn't have that success in the majors toward the end, but it seems like he's learned from that, has made some adjustments, done a little pivot. I don't think it would be necessary. I mean, I'm not inside his head. I just, I've seen him interviewed a couple times. I think he'd be okay with it. He would look at it as motivation or just biding his time. Like it's kind of how the White Sox are sending down one of their top prospects, Colson Montgomery, a shortstop who they thought was going to be the shortstop on opening day, but he's been hurt and he kind of struggled at the end of last year. It's not exactly the same kind of situation, but his comments were like, it's just a matter of time. They told me I'm not going to be down there forever. So he doesn't appear, at least in what he says, he doesn't appear like he would take it poorly that the White Sox are sending him down. I kind of think Zebby just seems like that kind of guy, that he would not let it be a negative kind of, it would be a motivating thing or just something to just have him keep his head because he's a young kid trying to make it in this world. So that said, it's only March 12th. There's still a little more than 2 weeks to go, barely more than 2 weeks before the regular season starts. A lot can happen. If something does happen to the first 5 guys, Zebby will be ready to go for the Twins. I have no doubt. And he doesn't have to be ready opening day. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but I mean, at the same time, too, like the Twins are in a good spot where he or Festa are both excellent choices. I've talked about seasons where their 6th and 7th starters have been capable big league options. Back in, I think 2019 was the year that I really made that a talking point. And like it was Lewis Thorpe and a couple other guys who had either big league experience or were close to big league ready. But I don't know if I recall being more eager to see starters 6 and 7 than I am right now, because Festa showed some really great things down the stretch, and Zebby, between what he showed last year and what he showed that he had to work on, and now in the spring so far, again, only a little over 9 innings, but showing that it appears he has kind of figured some of that out, this is very encouraging. So it's a good spot to be in. And your guy, Scott Paddock, who knows if his
his name is Chris Paddock. Scott Paddock was somebody else from my past.
Yeah, who knows? Like we kind of keep coming back to, though, the year Bailey Ober didn't make the team, he made his first start on like April 22nd. It was less than a month. So the baseball gods have a funny way of making everything work out. And if both those guys make 20 starts in the major leagues this year, I wouldn't be even the slightest bit shocked.
Following Mr. Zebby, Joan Duran, 2 scoreless innings. He was sitting 100. People have been kind of looking for that, and hit 101 on his last pitch. So he was
only one scoreless inning, by the way. One scoreless inning.
Let's say 2 scores. Oh, 2 Ks.
2 strikeouts. Yep.
2 strikeouts, 1 scoreless inning. Excuse me. That would have been Duran going 2 innings. That would have been news. We would have led with that instead of Lavelle's nothing burger of a count. I'm just kidding. So that's good. He didn't start out this spring throwing his extra gas, but now he's up to extra gas. If he's reaching 101, that's almost as hard as people who complain about him not throwing 100 want him to throw.
No, I think that's right, and he's progressing how you would hope. There's certainly a different way with every pitcher to ramp up, whether it's showing up, throwing darts, and just staying that way. Or again, as I go back to a lot the Joe Nathan approach, where you come in throwing 88, and then by the end of spring you're at 93, 94, where you're going to sit for the season. If Duran is the kind of guy that has to build up, one, that wouldn't shock me based on just the nature of people who throw that hard. But two, just all right, if that's the way he gets ready, I'm going to make mental note of that and not flip out next spring when he's throwing 96 out of the chute. Although if it's for, the Boston Red Sox instead of the Twins, I probably won't care as much. Get that Duran connection going. But just the more we know about how these guys ramp up, the more informed we are, the more we can, make more reasonable analysis or assertions about if their velocity is actually problematic, which I don't think too many people did that with Duran, but there were still a few fear mongerers and that sort of thing.
Brock Stewart, also a scoreless inning, whereas the other guys pitched against major leaguers who I've heard of. I don't know who any of these guys were. In fact, Max Ferguson, one of the guys he faced, didn't even have a face, didn't have a headshot, so I don't even know like who Max Ferguson is or where he comes from or what he's doing with the Red Sox. So I can't give you, and they didn't have, it doesn't look like they had the telemetry. I don't know if that's the right word, the feedback, the data from the game today. So I don't, we're flying blind a little bit, kind of like the old days, kind of like 2022, where we didn't have StatCast data.
And we heard our friend in the group chat say that the gun might be a little gassed up down there at JetBlue too. So,
really?
Encouraging.
So Duran didn't throw 101. The gun is gassed up. It's a nothing burger. Another nothing burger. We have had 2 nothing burgers.
And I'm so full. Why don't we take a break and let some of that nothing burger settle down, wash over us, and come back to close things out. How does that sound?
No.
All right. We are welcoming back our old friends from Supply House. Get the supplies you need from the site made for the skilled trades. That's Supply House. Whether you're into plumbing, HVAC, electrical work, Supply House is the reliable way to order products online. Their easy-to-use website is packed with helpful resources and the latest product info to help you get the job done right. Plus, with a complete inventory of over 200,000 parts from over 400 top brands, you'll find exactly what you need delivered fast from coast to coast. If you need help with an order, Supply House offers expert support and industry-leading service, so you'll always talk to a real person. And if you're a trade pro looking for an extra edge, their free Trade Master program offers exclusive perks like a dedicated phone line, free shipping, and discounts on every order. Thousands of skilled professionals are already taking advantage. Now it's your turn. Join the Trade Master program today at supplyhouse.com/TM and start ordering plumbing, HVAC, and electrical supplies with just a few clicks. Plus, use promo code SH5 and you'll get 5% off your first order. That's supplyhouse.com.
So, final segment, Locked On Twins. I did want to talk a little bit more about, before we get to Andrew Morris, we were kind of working backwards there. Joe Ryan did not have great results today. I didn't happen to see an interview with Rocco, and we don't have the data.
Right.
So, but he did allow a 3-run homer to Tristan Casas. Where have we heard that before? The Casas has hit a 3-run homer and the Twin season is over? No. But
yeah, he's kind of a beast.
He is. But Ryan had 5 strikeouts. I'm just going to cherry pick and say that the reason his stats are off, the other stats are good. The reason his stats are off is because he's working on stuff. That's my crutch. That's what I'm going with. I think Joe Ryan is probably fine.
It's like
what they say about the gassed up gun with Joe Ryan. How fast was he throwing when they had the gassed up gun on him?
Yeah, right. No, it's like that Tim Robinson sketch. I'm doing something. Like, what are you working on? I'm working on something. And you just got to trust them that's what's happening. No, and we've seen actually that with Pablo Lopez too. And somebody
Yes.
was so kind as to pull the data from like each of his spring trainings, and I think like his best
It was
ERA
me. I did that.
was it you? It was like a
Yeah.
650 something ERA or something was his
It was higher
best.
than that. Yeah.
Yeah, it was so.
Yeah,
I mean,
ever since 2022, he's been really bad in spring training.
get him right where you want him. It's like falling
That's right.
behind 2-0 in the count. You got him right where you want him.
Sort of on the Zebby Matthews note, Andrew Morris is going back to the minors, but he was dominant in his most recent performance, just as he has been in spring training. Now, he doesn't have a knuckleball like Corey Lewis, but he does
Right.
talk to himself like Mark Fidrich. So there's always an angle with these guys. But kind of like with Zebby and Festa, that's another guy in the minor leagues that they can bring up. I don't know if Falvey's working any trades either. I mean, that we talked about that, and that can get kind of dangerous with your depth real fast. But the Twins' depth, their depth seems pretty deep, if I can coin a phrase.
No, you sure can. And Morris not being in the 40 certainly hurts his case for joining the team super quickly. I always kind of confuse him and Travis Adams. Adams is on the 40, and Morris is not. But I thought Morris looked terrific against the Blue Jays. The called strike 3 that he threw to Santander was a really, really nice pitch. And in fact, I think I went back and looked at StatCast, and it would have been a ball if Santander had challenged it, but it had the look like of a strike with an umpire back there and a catcher framing it. And I don't know, I just facing a big league lineup, the Blue Jays played what could very easily be a mid-May lineup on Tuesday, and it looked exactly like you would have expected their lineup to look, and Morris looked good. I think he was 95 on that fastball to Santander, if memory serves. So some good velo in there, some good secondary stuff. I don't know where the fit is necessarily, but if you told me that he was called upon at some point this year to help them out, whether it's spot starts here or there or out of the bullpen, I would be good about his chances of being at least adequate, if not better than that.
And Rocco said, basically, yes, if he keeps pitching like this in the minors, we're going to see him this year in the majors. So,
Right.
And as to your point about the effectiveness of the Jays lineup that he was seeing, Morris allowed 1 hit, 0 walks, struck out 3, including all-stars Santander and Bo Bichette. Asked what the best lineup that he has faced ever was. Morris didn't hesitate. That one, he said. I was really trying to not pay attention to who was at the plate. The focus of mine was just focusing on executing pitches. So that's a guy with a big league mindset already.
And I think did I see him as high as number 3 prospect somewhere for the Twins after Jenkins and Emmanuel Rodriguez? I don't know if it was Pipeline or maybe Just Baseball. Speaking of Just Baseball, Aram Layton does a tremendous job over there, and I'm going to try to get him on the show with us, or if we need to fill in if you're busy down gallivanting in Arizona. But one of those prospect lists had Morris 3rd, which I thought was impressive because I thought Marco Raya was maybe a little more well thought of, and Charlie Soto was on the top list for Just Baseball in the top 100. So,
and Keishel's been getting a lot of love too.
What's that?
And Keishel has been getting a lot of love
maybe
too.
Maybe I'm thinking of him as 4th behind Keishel on Pipeline. But either way, Morris is squarely in that discussion, and that's exciting.
I have something to announce, Brandon, before we go. We want to thank you folks for making Locked On Twins your first listen today. For your second listen, check out the Locked On Fantasy Baseball podcast with hosts Dominic Martino and Matthew Ane. MLB Fantasy Draft season is here. Mine's Saturday. Be the most informed fan and set yourself up for a league win. Find Locked On Twins podcasts on YouTube also, by the way, or wherever you listen to podcasts. And that's going to do it for this episode of Locked On Twins. For Mr. Brandon, I'm Mr. Brown, wishing you all a very pleasant good evening, saying that we will see you again, Alexei Casilla, tomorrow
night.